is losing its national identity, and in order to fix it, the people who run our country must unite society by standing strong and holding their ground. It is essential to remember Canada's national identity and strive to keep it that way, as every citizen of this country is united under one culture and one flag. Despite this, I have seen an alarmingly growing trend of people in power bending the rules of Canada and being too soft and lenient on different issues in order to accommodate the needs of individuals before the needs of society. This is the wrong way to run a country, as if a country has too many cultures within itself, it will create a division within the people and make the country unstable. Society cannot change for individuals. Individuals must change for society. In the Western world we live in, society is too afraid of not being politically correct and offending individuals that it refuses to even acknowledge different issues, which makes it impossible to solve these problems. This is especially true for the topic of today's video, whether niqabs and burqas should be banned at civil events. A burqa is a loose garment worn by mostly Muslim women to cover their whole body, and a niqab is a veil that covers a woman's whole face, excluding only the eyes. The biggest issue wearing a niqab or a burqa poses is security. When people wear niqabs or burqas, it is impossible to identify them because we can see little to none of their face. Which is a problem because there's no way of knowing that the person is who they say they are with these garments on. People take photos for identification. For example, on a driver's license, there's a photo. However, when a police stops someone and asks them for their license to identify them by, but they still have the garment covering their face, there's no way that the police will be able to compare the person in the photo to the person in the car. They must be able to be identified. There's no other way of knowing exactly who we're dealing with unless if they do not have these garments on. Even ISIS, the group that relentlessly follows Islam, banned the burqa in security centers because they pose a security risk. They called this ban after a woman shot and killed 2 ISIS members. They couldn't find her or get an accurate description of her since she was all covered up by her burqa. The Quran does not even require women to wear burqas or niqabs. Neither the word burqa nor the word niqab show up anywhere in the Quran. If it's not specified that women must wear a niqab or a burqa in the Quran, then why are we so afraid to tell them that they're not allowed to wear one here in our country? It is true that some Muslim women might feel safer with their burqa or niqab on and they might identify with their burqa or niqab, but in that case, if it doesn't specify in the Quran that they must wear it, then what's the difference between them and a Scottish person saying that they identify and feel safer with their kilt on and showing up to civil events with their kilt on? If a Scottish person wanted to serve in the police force, or if they wanted to wear their kilt instead of wearing their uniform in the military, the Scottish person wouldn't be taken seriously. They would be laughed at. So what's the difference between a Scottish person wearing their kilt at these events and a Muslim woman wearing their niqab or burqa at these events? Why would one be taken more seriously than the other? As a democratic country, shouldn't we be treating situations like this equally? If we keep on giving in to the unreasonable demands of other cultures coming into Canada, such as Muslim women being able to wear niqabs and burqas at civil events, then soon they're gonna start expecting larger, much more extreme things from us, like having Shariat Allah in Arabic or Sharia law to be applicable to the Muslims who live here. In fact, Sharia law is already being advocated for by Muslims in Canada. They want the Muslim population to only be tried by Sharia law. And for anyone who doesn't know what Sharia law is, it's basically Islamic law. In the countries where Sharia law is followed, a woman will get stoned if she unveils herself. These headdresses come from cultures that oppress women. Canada should not reflect this in any way. In fact, statistics show that the majority of Canadians agree. However, with all the appeasing Canada's doing to Muslims living here, letting them wear the niqab and burqa at civil events, it would not be a surprise if Sharia law does keep getting pushed for and eventually implemented. And in no way am I saying that we should stop Muslims from celebrating their religion in Canada. Everyone has the right to believe in whatever they want to believe in, but no one is telling anyone that they cannot believe in their own religion. This is not the argument taking place. No one should be allowed to wear a headdress that makes it impossible to identify them regardless of religion. In 2014, Zunaira Ishak said that the ban of the niqab while taking the Canadian citizenship oath was unlawful. Her lawyer stated, "My client feels very strongly that this set a dangerous precedent and the Canadian government has no role in dictating to women what is or is not a morally acceptable dress code." But no one was arguing that the Canadian government can dictate the dress code of their female citizens. They're still allowed to wear the niqab or burqa in public, just as women can walk around in a bikini. It is their freedom to choose whatever they want to wear. They can cover up or wear as little as they want in public. However, there are certain things that you would never see a woman wearing at civil events, such as in courts or while taking the citizenship oath or generally any formal event. A woman would never wear a bikini or really any informal attire during these events because yes, it is not moral, it is not respectable, and it's not the Canadian norm. The reason why niqab should not be worn while taking the oath is to get Muslim immigrants to be exposed to Western norms. If they are coming to our country, they must follow our rules. If you live in Canada, you're a Canadian citizen first, and whatever culture you celebrate personally is second. Despite this, Zunaira Ishak, the woman who wanted to wear the niqab during the oath, won against Stephen Harper's government. This is just showing how weak society is caving to fit individual standards instead of doing things for the benefit of society as a whole. However, there is still hope for Canada. At one point, society wasn't this soft. More specifically, in 2011, just 5 years ago, Canada used to have a ban on face coverings during the Canadian citizenship oath. Officials used to be able to pull aside women wearing a niqab at the ceremony and have them lift it for identification. And on the plus side, Quebec is intolerant of individuals breaking the rules about religious wear at civil events and is being strong in upholding its reputation. Quebec has advocated for Bill 94, which would require people who wear face coverings in Quebec to remove them if they work in the public sector or do business with government officials. They've also done things like ban niqabs from federal polling stations and expel a student because she refused to unveil herself and show her face, etc. In short, Muslims should not be allowed to wear niqabs or burqas at civil events because 1. Security reasons, they cannot be easily identified. 2. It does not say that you must wear one anywhere in the Quran. And 3. If they're coming into Canada, they must integrate with the Canadian society and follow Canada's rules.